Hey FlipSide leaders, hope you're doing well today. We're headed into week number 3. Can't believe we're already there, and we are excited about the things that we're seeing. We had over 200 kids the first night, a few less the second night, but still new kids coming in each week. And so I want to take this time, probably about 4 or 5 minutes, to talk to you about some reminders of how we do this leading this environment together. And then I want to talk about this week, when we're going to talk about who is Jesus. And we're going to talk about the gospel and salvation. And I want to give us a couple of reminders and to make you aware of some tools that I really am encouraging you to use. First, remember that we have new kids coming in every week, and they're not even understanding what the routine is. They don't know what the chill side or the hype side is, and they don't know really very many kids probably in the whole place. They might know 1 or 2, and so they're really looking for somebody to connect with, and that's you. That's you as a leader. And so if you're on the hype side and you're playing games, please remember to welcome these kids like it's their first time. Be obnoxiously welcoming. Ask them how their day was. Ask them how school has been. Ask them if they've been to FlipSide before. And then join in and play with them in those games, because if we just stand by and observe, we're not going to be able to build the relationships. On the chill side, take time to sit with a group of kids. There's all kinds of kids that are sitting along the walls, they're sitting playing games, they're doing art projects, they're standing near the Wii, and they are just there to be talked to. And so walk up to them, find out who they are, find out what they like to do. Start to build relationships so that we can feel like this is a place that it really is family. And so your participation in those places, not your observation, is really important. And when we go down to the large group environment in the amphitheater, the same thing is true. If the people in the front are the only ones trying to get the attention and run the show, so to speak, in the amphitheater, then we're not going to be able to keep the attention of the kids. It's a team effort. So if you're up in your group, being able to watch for those kids who aren't necessarily tied into what's going on and walk over and encourage them or stand next to them and put a hand on their shoulder, they'll get what you're trying to do. And when we're worshiping, if your kids are sitting down and it's a stand-up song, have them stand up. If they're standing there not worshiping and you're standing there not worshiping, then they're probably going to think it's okay. And so you need to be involved in worshiping also, because it's a group environment that we're trying to set. Everybody's doing the same things, adults and kids. We're praising God, we're learning things, we've set an environment of energy, and you're a key part of that. So please remember that. The people down front are counting on you as leaders to be helpful in that place. This week, we're talking about who is Jesus as the 3rd week of our series called Base Camp. And we've talked about what is FlipSide, and we've talked about what is the Bible, so we've set a foundation. And now we go into one of the most important weeks of this first series, which is who is Jesus? Which is the question we should be asking all the time with kids, is who is Jesus? What does he mean to you? Why is he important in the grand scheme of the Bible and the grand scheme of history? And you're going to have a chance in your small group to share the salvation message. And the temptation, at least when I was a kid, is that the people would come into my small group and they would talk about how bad I was, how good God was, and if I didn't ask him to forgive me, I was going to go to hell. And that's scary. And you know what? I responded to scary, but it didn't mean as much to me as it could if I understood how much God loved me, how difficult of a place I was in, and that he really wants to have a friendship with me, and then he made a way for that to happen. And so what I want you to do this week is I want you to be thinking about your story. How did you come to know Jesus? What was the story about that? Were you a kid? Were you an adult? Because kids listen to stories all the time, and they are interested in your story. And then when you get into your small group, take a look at the questions. Those questions are going to help you. And then go ahead and take a look at the gospel story, what Jesus did for us. And there's going to be a tool, and some of you may say, well, I'm going to do this myself, but remember that kids are visual. And so if at all possible, these are going to be available actually on Sunday around this place. This is called the EvangeCube. And it looks kind of like a Rubik's Cube, but it goes through the salvation story from man is sinful and separated from God, to what Jesus did on the cross, to the fact that he rose again. All these different things in a way that kids are fascinated, because it continues to unfold and go all the way back to the beginning where it talks about now what. And so I would encourage you, don't just stick with verbal. Really try to be visual with this, and this would give you a chance. And so I'd encourage you to pick one up. It'll be on the back of the Trek area up at the top on the back desk in a box. You're more than welcome to take it home, practice it, play with it. There's instructions online. If you just Google EvangeCube, it'll tell you all the ways to explain this thing, or you can just go through, and I think you're going to pick it up pretty quick on your own. Please avoid going through the 4 spiritual laws or the Romans Road. Those are really good tools, but they really go over the heads of kids. Kids need to know that sin is a major issue, and it separates us from God, and that's our problem. That God created a solution, and that's Jesus. but that we have an action step, and that is believing and turning from our sin, repenting. If we use the word repent, they're going to look at us with eyes like, what in the world? But if we say we turn away from our sin, we say our sorry, we choose not to do it again. That's what real connection to God is. And then he is a friend. And if we use the word relationship, they're probably not going to get it, but if we use the word friendship, they're going to get it. A connection to a living God. I don't know if you realize or continually revisit how incredible it is that we have a God who realizes our sinful state, created a solution for that in what Jesus did, and that he died and he rose again, and he wants to be our friend. We get a chance to share that this week. Please take your time to go ahead and look at the questions, look at the gospel, remember your story, make sure we give these kids a chance to respond, and then make sure we hit that activity. There's an activity with a cross in your curriculum, and we're going to have those things ready for you. It's going to be a big week. I'm excited to see what God's going to do. We're continuing to pray for your kids. Please pray for your kids also. Get prepared, and let's see what God does. Thanks, leaders. We'll see you this week.